Moments ago, the chief of police in Charlotte held a very emotional news conference on the shooting that claimed the lives of 4 officers.
Chief Johnny Jennings was joined by Governor Roy Cooper along with other state officials in offering support for the law enforcement community.
Michelle McConaughey is in the WRAL Live Center with new information. Michelle.
Yeah, that press conference just ended moments ago, but we now know the names of all 4 that were killed. We know the Samuel Poloche and Alden Elliot of the Department of Corrections. They were both killed. Joshua Eyer was a Charlotte police officer, and U.S. Marshal Thomas Weeks, he is with the Fugitive Task Force. So those are the 4 officers that were killed. They were attempting to serve a search warrant on Monday to Terry Hughes for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. When they got to a home there in Charlotte, they were met with immediate gunfire. Hughes was shot and killed in the front yard. Also, we are learning 4 other officers were hurt in this. We have their names as well. Chris Tolley, he's in the hospital recovering. Mike Giglio was released. Jack Blowers was also released. And Justin Campbell, he was not shot, but he broke his foot. He is also recovering out of the hospital. Charlotte Police Chief Johnny Jennings was so emotional at this press conference. Take a listen.
You know, the last few days it's just been very tough. And knowing that you have families that are hurting right now. We'll get through it, though.
And Chief Jennings went on to say that certainly this is something that will impact the country. He says this will take time and this will take support from everybody.
All of those officers are heroes. It has been a difficult and dramatic 24 hours in the East Charlotte neighborhood where those officers were shot. Hundreds of officers swarmed that neighborhood.
And some people had police snipers set up in their homes. Others had injured officers pulled to safety right through their living rooms. WRAL's Eric Miller has been in that neighborhood all morning long. And Eric, the damage to the home Hughes was holed up in is hard to believe.
Jeff, it really is extraordinary damage and extraordinary stories from these neighbors. Neighbors tell me this damage you see right here was actually caused by a SWAT vehicle ramming the front of the building. You can see it completely pulled it to pieces. There's shattered siding, broken brick, personal belongings left scattered everywhere in this front yard. This East Charlotte neighborhood today dealing both with a broken home and broken hearts. Tuesday morning, it's still hard to believe.
It was just gunfire.
Even for people like Tyler Wilson, who had a front row seat.
So at one point, there was probably 10 or 15 police and marshals in our backyard. Some in our bedrooms. I opened the doors and let them just come through the house.
Wilson shot these videos as police swarmed through his yard. Shots coming from every direction, rolling even as an injured officer was pulled through his living room.
It's one of those situations where you just black out. You just go into fight or flight mode.
The bullets started flying just after 1 p.m. as a U.S. Marshals Task Force worked to serve a warrant to this man, 39-year-old Terry Hughes Jr. The bullets didn't stop for more than 2 hours. Hundreds of rounds shredding the side of the house Hughes was holed up in, some bullets hitting too close to home for neighbors.
You can tell, like, there were shots fired. There's a bullet that penetrated right here.
Jay Chun lives just next door. He says he'd just gotten home when police arrived and when his father started shooting this video with his cell phone.
There were officers right here by my vehicle. There were like at least 2 officers by my back door.
By the time the shooting was over, 4 officers suffered fatal wounds, including CMPD's Joshua Eyer, Sam Poloche, and Alden Elliot, and a deputy U.S. Marshal. Hughes was also killed. Nearly 24 hours later, this East Charlotte neighborhood is left to pick up the pieces and pay their respects.
Really, the families that are impacted, the loved ones not coming home. I can't imagine what they're going through or what they're feeling.
Yeah, it really is unimaginable. The other thing that we've heard out here from neighbors today is people who were honestly grateful, thankful, despite this damage, that there were officers willing to put themselves in harm's way here. Again, so much happening as this story develops. We'll stay on top of it. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Pretty chaotic and terrifying for everyone around in that neighborhood. Eric Miller, live for us in Charlotte. And coming up in our next half hour, we'll go back live to Charlotte for a live report from WRAL's Monica Casey with what she is learning about the officers impacted.